You may sit. Kalainde, I know you're tired. Tumeongea kizungu nyingi. Allow me to... I know you are well and you're tired, so wacha nisiseme mambo nyingi. I get to the meat of the matter quickly. Being your governor gives me a lot of anxious moments. A lot. Because every time you mention a problem, that problem is tied to finance. And the resource basket is not increasing. In fact, strictly speaking, the resource basket for devolution has decreased from 2013 in terms of a graph. And yet, correspondingly, at national government, it has increased by more than 13%. All factors considered, devolution is at crossroads. December, there was no money to pay people's salaries. So I asked the fundamental question, what are we supposed to tell our workers over Christmas if they can't celebrate Christmas with their families? So our workers went without resources. Sometimes we now received resources for December. Is it last week or yesterday? Yesterday. The December allocation came yesterday. We are now in February. So when I hear some of the statements, I return the question. When I joined government as your governor, I found 3,998 or so workers. Those workers are your relatives, your cousins, some your mothers, some your fathers. So I asked the fundamental question when somebody talks about the wage bill, please choose for me to fire your relative. Because the people I got in with government are the same people that were there. I didn't increase anybody. The CEOs I just replaced, ECMs we just replaced. So can you pick the ones you want me to fire? And I can point to you here, your relatives, because I know them, I work with them. The Department of Health alone has 2,000, is it 2,000? 2,000 workers. Except KICC constituency, every dispensary in Makueni has one nurse. So she can't be sick, she can't go on leave, she can't, or he can't have a disease, they can't have maternity leave. So even when you want to add one more, I still left with a question. Yesterday I was just checking through the Boni Hospital alone, their wage bill is R1 million a month for contracted employees. And they still have capacity problems. So we have to deal with a lot, but I am hopeful. And the reason I'm hopeful is this, and part of the reason I'm encouraging, and that's the reason it's important to speak to all of you. The on-source revenue you're talking about concerns you here, seated here. The county is owed 300 million by people who own properties in Makueni, and most of them are seated maybe here. And your parents you know them. Out of the limbs that you saw here, only 26 so far, have they crossed? How many are they? 27,000? 27,000 are registered at limbs, including myself. Mimi nimepatiwa invoices zangu sahi, ziko hapa. It's about 70,000 I will pay. And I'll pay together with the ones for my late father, Talibadu, because I know what it means. Because this on-source revenue, ladies and gentlemen, has helped us to pay for casual laborers who are cleaning your markets. Sometimes we have problems with commodities and we have to purchase them on an emergency. When Waziri Musila talks to you. What you can see here on my iPad, this one, is the collections for Makueni. So today, we have collected 5.254 real-time data. Here, I have it. I can check the trends. I know what happens on Sunday, on Saturday, etc., etc. How does that help us? We are able to check which department is working and which one is not. For example, Mboni Water was not recording their collections. Tukawauliza maswali. It's here. The sub-counties that are collecting the highest or lowest is here. And in fact, Waziri Damaris has even done up to ward level. We know KICC Kalanzoni ward is the worst in Makueni. We know that because we have the figures. Because and they are the ones who don't want to pay for sand. And they are the ones who harvest sand at night. Na ukiwauliza wanatoa tu fujo. Na wanakuambia about Konza City. Yeah. I worked with 27 people when I was a senator. And I felt like I had an army of 300,000 people. The slogan, Wao ni wa Kwika Nenza, is actually a slogan on value of principles of public service. The spirit of Kwetoma, that you don't need to be supervised to go to work. So please tell your relatives to go back to work. Economist is right of from Kwandaba. People just like, I don't know why we go to church. They want to corners. There's no corners when you're going to heaven. It's either through Christ or you go to hell. So why do you want to take corners with projects of counties? You want to sign something that has not been done? Waziri Agriculture now is fighting with a statement she wrote about Kithungo Kitundu, about a macadamia project. She said it's done. Now she has reversed because she found out it was all phantom. True? But the statement, initial statement she took the assembly says there's work that was done. Na pesa imepotea tu. And it's signed. Other people were charged in court recently by Waziri Mangoka for PMC that signed on projects that were not done. Others had forged signatures. So Mimi, this slogan must be the way to make sure that even if it's 1 million shillings, that 1 million shilling counts for something. So that if you're going to do a dispensary, you do it properly. If you are going to buy commodities, you buy proper commodities, the way we are attempting to do in Makueni. So I have faced these challenges. I've told them, I keep telling my team here that sometimes I get the impression, and I repeat this because I am not afraid to say so, that when I leave the office, another governor in the form of a devil comes and sits there and has cabinet, because I don't understand some of the things I get to see. They are nearly devilish. You can't do those things. If you are a Christian, that's one, and you love others more than yourself. You cannot do that. You cannot take away commodities from a hospital and sell them. For example, in Sultan, I walk into the hospital, Sultan Ahmud, and the medicines for epilepsy have disappeared. And then a few kilometers in a place called Chief Kiamba, I meet an epileptic patient who was denied that medicine because somebody stole it. So when I ask why they stole it, I'm told it's actually a very good medicine for kupandisha steam. So that's what it is. Imepotea tu. I found very good workers in Matiliko. And I say so because it gives me hope about Makueni. Because I'm not going to be there forever. In this hospital, between January and December of last year, they didn't lose a child or a mother while delivering. That hospital has no debt on its commodities, has no debt on anything. And these people are not on our platform. They are on our platform, but we have not fully integrated ICT. But they know to put a CCTV so that they can check their commodities. They are doing the simplest of things. We have an example, and some of the contractors are here, I've seen them. They've done projects of 3.4, 1.9 on water, and Waziri Kieti wonders. How did that happen? Because you see water kiosks, you see water tanks, you see many things. Because that person is interested not in the profit, but ensuring that we can get water to the farthest end. Because this is a very interesting component. Emale is piloting something that is not been done in any ward, and we hope we can replicate it. They have a governance structure of an entity called Savannah. They have aggregated the water. They have treatment of the water. They have a dam, and they give you an option. You have two taps. When you go to fetch the water, there's one tap for the water that is cleaned, and there's another one for water that is not clean. So you pick, and you pay a rate, plus the hospitals. They gave me a record that shows they even have a profit of 500,000 shillings. They are themselves, they are running it. So it occurs to me that we actually have the solutions for all the things that we need to do in Makueni. Put your water together, put a governance structure, because one of the things that Waziri Kieti here, a very good man, is suffering from is something called non-revenue water. A very famous big statement I find in the minds of senators when I go there. And it's a simple thing, that a lot of the water we are supposed to bill is disappearing. And it's not accounted for. Makueni has reduced to what, 25%? About 25%. No Turesh. I sat with Waziri Kieti for how many meetings?
About 6 meetings.
6 meetings. Serena Hotel. Governor of Kajiado, Governor of Machakos, and the CEO of Konza. We agreed that, and I know what water means along the highway for the people of Kilome and below. We will pay for electricity, it was 6 million, correct?
Yeah,
we paid. They needed a transformer, 1,000 kVA, correct? We paid, it was brought. But they proceeded to put something we call sluice valves. Now, those who know about the water that was done by it's Italians, isn't it? It was done by Italians, comes by gravity. The tanks are on the Makueni side, and then they go by gravity, because the pumps are in Salama, back to Loitoktok and other places. Now, a very illiterate Kenyan puts what we call a sluice valve. In the process, it has almost 42 bursts. Like a place in Malik, it's called kilometer 42, and a place in Kamana, kilometer 26. I mean, there's a dam, a swamp of clean chlorinated water, and Emali has no drop. So I asked the gentleman, now what sort of a person are you? I nearly called him a devil, and I did in one of the conferences I had in the summit. I said, you can't do that. And I said so on record because when Kajiado had problems during the famine, we hosted 10,000 cattle. But what they are denying us what? Justice Musinga called me on 1st of January, very upset. Because for the longest time he invested in Sultan, he has never missed water. His family had to come back to Nairobi. So in fact, he's putting a team of people to sue Kajiado County because of this problem. So, nakwambia kuna shetani. This lady called the chair of Emali municipality is a chair of finance. Are you the chair of finance? They sit in a meeting and she's the only one who is speaking in English. Yes. She has given me the records. And she has told them. And it's a national resource. So even when the national government gazetted and said Noltresh goes to national government, at the back of my mind I knew this was the most unconstitutional thing you can do. But then, like a practical Makueni resident and your governor and team leader, I thought, by the way, why don't we give this water to somebody else first? We sort out the problems and we ensure that people get water. So we are still going to pursue it. I'm pursuing it at the highest level possible so that we can find a solution. Stall projects have given us a headache. Waziri Agriculture will tell you there's a 27 million, what do you call it? The kitize is called what? Poultry house. Now, that is not a poultry house. Yes. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying they are stalled because what it was meant to do, you can't do it. Because if you're going to do a poultry house, you cannot then put a timber ceiling. It's basic things by food safety experts like Joyce. So it's not stalled. We are just wondering, do we convert this into a store? Kalongo, where Mangoka comes from, there's a cold room. When I send Joyce to evaluate, she says this is not a cold room, correct? It's just a room. And there's nothing cold about it. There's another one. There's another one in Tulimani, isn't it? 38 million, Kalawani. The machines are inside. There's nothing cold about it because there's no water and there's no electricity. 38 million is gone. So we are still trying to, because these are, some of them are donor-funded projects, we are still trying to find whether we can rescope them and change what they are initially supposed to be. On industrialization, ladies and gentlemen, Waziri Choni didn't mention to you, but it's a matter of concern. One of the problems in Makueni is that we lack something called stable power. So the factory in called ENI in Kwakadoka are to put in their own transformer so that they could stabilize power. The people of Mboni, where I come from, and others know, the minute it rains, power goes off automatically. They see it's the light. There's something as there's a sensor. Clouds, blackout. So which serious businessman do you think is ready to invest in such a setup? That's why we have an energy plan, creating an energy center, and now we are looking at non-renewable sources of energy. We have mapped the whole county. We want to interest investors in non-renewable sources of energy. We now know where you can have a solar project, where you can have a windmill project, etc., etc. We used to think that you could do, for example,